happy. We don't. Do we say Happy Veterans Day? I love our country, and in actually in 2 weeks, I'm going back to Fort Benning in Georgia to do several events for our army at the army post there, and one of them is a Thanksgiving event for all the soldiers and people. Encourage him, talk about the values of commitment and other stuff. So you keep that in prayer. Also, last year and the year before and the year before and the year before, I always get asked to go to Germany to be in down in Bavaria area with our army, and also I did the Ramstein Air Force Base. And I can't forget one time when we were going there, and someone was saying like, they're not gonna laugh. Why would you go and talk to them? I said, well, you know what? I just want to say thank you. So we go in the first room, and in the first room there's this young man, 19-year-old, was doing comedy for at the base there. But what do you what happened to you? Where are you from? He goes, I'm from Chicago. I go, what happened to you? He goes, I stepped on an IED in Afghanistan. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. I said, what are you gonna do now? He goes, I want to go back and fight with my. At least you in Afghanistan, you know who's shooting at you. In Chicago, you never know. It could be the gangs, the cops, or your girlfriend. So he started laughing hard. That was great. Then I went to the next room, and they go, this guy is from Georgia. So I go, wow, Waffle House, man. I said, one time when I went with two of my friends, which is a true story, I went to the Waffle House in Georgia. I offended, uh, I offended someone from Georgia talking bad about the Waffle House. And Chaplain goes, no, he's from Georgia, Russia. I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. But I felt honored to be able to honor these guys. So we honor if you're a veteran and you're listening, or even if your spouse is a veteran, thank you. One is away for 9 months to a year. I mean, I go away for 3 days or a week or a tour, and then I come home and I have to reestablish a lot of things. So, really, we're praying for you. And what happened last week? I was in Colorado Springs this weekend. Friday night, I did a staff and volunteer appreciation event. I'm a dad, I understand, so we canceled. In the evening, I had dinner with a wonderful, good friend and on one of the president of my board, Laughter for All, attorney Michael Reger. So we had dinner with him and his wife. Nice time. Then Sunday morning, yesterday, I taught three services at a large church in Colorado. You heard some of his comedy. You will hear another few minutes of his comedy at the end of this podcast. But the reason I have him, well, he's a friend of mine, he's a comedian, but also he's a veteran. And we will figure today, it's the ideal day to invite an Iraqi war veteran. Josh has used his humor and easygoing stage presence to entertain thousands of people. He has performed across the United States at corporate events, fundraisers, clubs, colleges, churches, and veterans group. His comedy special, Fat Veteran, is now streaming on Amazon Prime, Vudu, Vimeo, and Roku. So let's welcome to the Laughter for All podcast studio, Josh Novey. Welcome. Thank you for
Hey,
being here.
thank you for having me. Yesterday.
Yesterday. Yeah, I was in Sherman Oaks last week because we did our Laughter for All at Bel Air. So we stayed
Mhm.
at Sherman Oaks.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
a nice area if you don't drive.
It's a
Once
wonderful. It's that's LA is a great place if you never want to leave your neighborhood.
Now, where were you born, Josh?
So my dad was a preacher actually, and so I don't have story in my life for the whole time,
So your dad was kept moving, and then you became military, and now you're moving,
and I kept on moving, and then became a comedian, and
and now
then
you're
and then I
moving.
keep on moving.
That's amazing. That's something. If you come from the Middle East or some countries, other countries, like it's like how Americans are okay to live in an area for 5, 6 years then move.
Hmm.
Because the ease of moving makes it good. So when did you move to California?
Well, I'll give you a quick like a lot. Some people say they moved around a lot. I live in Sherman Oaks. This is my 56th house I've lived in.
You don't pay rent, do you?
Yeah,
If you pay your rent on time, you wouldn't have 56. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, I see.
yeah. So yeah, so that's when I meet people, especially from anywhere, they said, "Oh, this
Where you?
multiple states." So I've lived for like primary school or high school
High
or
school.
high school. I lived in Arizona.
In Arizona.
Yeah,
Where? Phoenix?
Phoenix. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mesa.
And then you decided to join the army.
I did. I moved
Why?
because I had moved to Iowa, and if you've been to Iowa, you want to get out. So that's it. That was all. No, we were hitting. It was 2000. And I would always wanted to join the military or the police or something like that,
Right.
and it was a really good opportunity for me, and I went and I took a test, and then a week later I was on a bus.
So
To,
why did you choose the army, not the navy, not the air force? Why?
oh, because I'm a dumb. It's,
No,
no,
really.
no. So his life.
Uh,
He went over to World War II when he was 19 years old. He was in a tank, and I got hit by a German shell, and he was the only survivor. But they didn't think he survived, so they pulled him out of the tank and they put him on a pile of dead bodies.
oh,
And so he was laying there, and then a medic walked by, and he saw him, and he said, "Oh, this guy's well, he's still
a
kind."
German.
Well, they put him in the waiting to die pile, and and then so he was blown up. I mean, he was super messed up all over the place. They thought one they thought he was dead, and then he wasn't, and then they thought he was about to die, so they didn't really give him anything. They just kind of gave him morphine and let him go. And then he kept on surviving, and then he wasn't supposed to walk, he wasn't supposed to talk, and for a long time he made his living in Iowa as a door to door salesman. a tanker, and after the war, he came back to America, and he was in the hospital for 2 or 3 years, straight.
And then he chose Iowa.
Well, he's from Iowa. So,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay, yeah. Because I mean, yeah, like,
No,
okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna stay alive, so might as well go to Iowa.
Yeah, no.
Iowa, I have fans there, so
Yeah.
I'm not knocking it
My
off.
whole family's from Iowa.
Okay,
I love everybody.
we're
from
in Iowa, but
they're all from just outside the Des Moines area.
Des Moines, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, so you joined the army. You were 18.
At 22.
22. And
Yeah.
what's the first thing they did with you after what do you call it? Training camp?
Basic training.
Yeah.
So I went in as a medic. That's why, because that's everybody else
no,
did, but then
yeah.
the one guy did.
Yeah. Okay, so you went as a medic. Now, did you have any background, or they trained you to be a medic?
They trained. They did all the training.
Oh, interesting.
So I scored pretty high on my ASVAB, which is like the military version of a SAT.
Okay.
And so I scored really good, and they said, you can have any job you want. And I said, medic. And they said, well, okay.
Now, as a medic, do you carry a weapon? Do you fight?
Yep.
You do?
Yep, you still carry a weapon, and you do everything else everybody got to do.
No. You did what when you
Sorry, when I was in Iraq, I got to do a lot of different things. So I got to do I worked anywhere from I worked at a clinic, and then I worked worked at a hospital. There's like in Baghdad, there was a real hospital called Ibn Sina.
Yeah, Ibn
And-
Sina.
Yeah, and so
Cool. When we grew up in Kuwait, they were so proud that he's the father of medicine.
yeah.
I think he's Turkish or Iraqi from Iraq.
He was Iraqi.
Yeah.
And he, because this is my, because I like learning things. Apparently he was one of the smartest people, in history. He was like the father of modern medicine that people don't really realize. But also he was a very his time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So now, if you're taking any pills right now, it's an Iraqi guy who invented
Yeah.
that for you. I hope you feel better. Literally. So right away they sent you to Iraq. So you joined in. You trained you as a
Not
medic.
right away. So I got. There's
Fort
another
Hood.
Fort Hood. I was stationed at Fort Hood.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's training posts and
Yeah.
um
So they took So you from there you went to Iraq.
Yeah.
How's your family felt when you left? You were single, of course.
Yeah,
but
single,
Your
yep.
mom around and dad.
yeah they were all around, and I assume they were proud. So
Okay, they weren't very scared. Give me one.
I don't want to. Well, I don't like to talk about too many of them.
Oh, I see.
Because people. So here's the problem. Is that because I'm a medic. So I have medic stories, and people say I want to hear a story, and then I tell them
Oh,
the story,
you're a medic.
and
Oh,
then,
you have to.
and then it makes people sad. So
Right. Oh no, let's not go to. I have most of my fans are females, and it's
Yeah,
might
we don't
be
worry
harsh.
about that,
We don't
so-
wanna go. But the guy's going, hey, hey, call us later. We'll tell you.
and I'm not sure how people were going to take this, but I had two patients from the same conflict, right? From the U.S. forces went into an apartment, and a guy had an AK-47, and he shot at them. and one of the guys, one of the U.S. forces, had a bullet that went through his it's called his axillary, your armpit, and major organ and artery. And I sat there and I was like, man, there's no rhyme or reason for that. That the one guy,
One bullet.
one bullet, and then the other guy he had eight, and he had eight, and he was complaining about he's like, ugh, my leg hurts.
The reason I'm asking this, I want people to appreciate the amount of applause. It started to go down and down and down, and you get that sense of people not appreciating our nation.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I was like, come on, really, really. Yesterday, like, I mean, Colorado Springs, Colorado, they love something special. And I truly believe all these America haters who live here and they're just complaining about how terrible things are, never lived overseas.
Yeah, they haven't. They haven't even been over there, or they go to somewhere and they just see Paris or
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
they don't go like I was in it was Solder City. It's also like it's the one of the biggest slums in the world.
Yeah.
And so you go in there, and then I'm not sure they can't. I'm not sure if they can see, but imagine a place half this size with a family of 10 living in it, and they just put up whatever they could to make a house, and then that's it. And you go and you say, well, that is all they can do at the moment. There's
make more money and you become successful and you have opportunities and you have health care and you have no, that's not reality around the world. And just the freedom we have, which is now as comedians we're really not appreciating that there's a group, there's a minority in this country that want to shut everyone up. Just day I said it's like America right now, it's like a group of adults sitting at the terminal waiting to get on a flight, and there's a small group of 3 or 4 year olds that are running around destroying things, and we're all sitting going, you know what, someone should stop these kids from doing, they're really, I know they're silly, I know they don't know what they're doing, I know they're ruining things, but these kids gonna start destroying, and then the silent majority are gonna get. I'm like, shut up, we've had enough.
yeah.
I hope that's gonna be the case.
I hope so. And I mean, we're both Christian, and I'm a big believer in that. I don't want to do anything that offends people, but also at some point in time, you say, well, there's no, somebody's going to be offended no matter what I say,
Right.
or just
Continuing with the story in Iraq, you were a parent, so you probably saved some people's lives.
I did, yeah,
Oh, God bless you.
yeah,
Okay. And anything funny? Comedian,
yeah.
right? Of course, you thought like a comedian while you were there.
I did. So actually, I won't. I don't. I'm not. I won't tell any stories.
Okay.
Because I'll tell them off air because they're sad. I would stand and we just had guys would just sit around and I would goof off and I would tell jokes and I would do things and that's how I got my start doing comedy. I realized that I had a gift for one making. I knew I could make people laugh, but I knew that before. But then I knew that I had a gift for taking somebody's worst day and just making
About when you okay, let's say you're in Iraq, right?
hmm
You're in a tent or in the hospital, or where are you?
in multiple places. So I saw, I guess I got to do. I was working in like a clinic, and I got to work in the hospital. And then after that, in Solder City, I set up a. It's called a casualty collection point. So they did an offensive against the militia that was there and doing a lot of harm to the civilian population. So echelon of care.
Okay,
Um,
interesting. Now, does it? When's the first time you saw someone just shot and killed? When's the first time? Was it
the
in the
first
military?
one, yeah, it was the first time I saw somebody, shot and killed was in the military.
Did it? Did it do anything? Some people with the PTSD. Does that?
hmm
th-
Did a lot more than I did, and I know there's a lot of people that did less than I did. And somebody did the math of all the things that happened to me because it's all on record.
Mm.
Um, and it doesn't look good as far as like how many like how many people have you seen killed versus how many people
Do you have dreams about it?
I do and is it when I was in the army I started going to synagogue because I feel like God was just softening my heart, and so I think he said, all right, just so I started going to synagogue because I would go there every Friday, and we do. All right, I like this guy. So I think I was kind of just kind of brushing off the dust, and then um, after I got out, and if you talk to me now, I'm a very different person from what I was 10 years ago.
What happened? What made you different?
Just everything you see, everything you do, constant, you I've been too close to a few explosions, Um, but so but one of the worst parts is when you're in the military is especially like when you're coming back from war, everyone around you is the same way, and so everybody has the same issues, and it's normalized, and it's not until you get out
Mm.
that you realize that the things that you do are not normal. In fact, and like how always on edge. Um,
Right.
and you just don't realize because there's 100 guys around you with the same thing. You go, oh, this is normal. So this is how we all act. It's not until you get out and you realize that that's not how God wants us to live. He wants us to be free and be happy and to be prosperous, not
I know
necessarily
what you're saying.
financially, but
Yeah.
like but I've never been a really very angry person, but I had a lot of issues with PTSD, sleeping, nightmares and stuff. And I remember it was September of 2010
Hmm.
was when I got saved, like
How
the
how
real
did
real
that
deal
happen?
saved.
What happened?
Um, so that was September of the army. I moved back to Iowa,
Hmm.
and I was like, well, I'll just move back to Iowa, and it was the worst snow in 40 years that winter, right?
Uh-huh.
So I said, I went from spending the last 4.5 something years of being in all deserts.
140
Yeah, yeah,
degree.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Between Texas and Iraq. As soon as the snow melted enough, which was around April, I packed everything up and I moved to Florida.
By yourself.
By myself. I just packed it up. Moved. My buddy Aaron lived there in Gainesville,
Florida.
in Florida, and he said, "Hey, come on down. There's no snow here." So I did, and him and his wife, they invited me to a party. They said, "Hey, come." Then we without the board.
You know, in the party you hear about grams. You don't
Yeah, yeah,
think
yeah.
banana
Yeah, yeah,
grams. Oh,
Hey, can
so
you give me a bag of banana grams?
yeah. How many grams do you need for the party? Banana grams, that is.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and so you played
I
boring
played.
board
Yeah, I
games.
played. No, actually, I had a lot of fun. You left. Oh, you better not clap. I
No?
remember my dad one time brought an acoustic guitar into church, and boy,
Oh, they hated him.
he got all they raised heck.
Oh, heck yeah. And so you were at the party, you saw that cool Christians are cool,
Yeah,
and then what happened?
and then they invited me to other things, and I started going to Bible study, and they it was every Tuesday. We went to Bible study, and talked about things, and it was, and then after and then I started doing my own research on Christianity because I was like, well, maybe there's something to this, and I read the Lee Strobel's
Oh, yeah.
The Case for Christ.
He's a friend of mine.
Oh,
so, yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Well, tell him I said thanks.
Okay.
So then I went through and I did all the research. And I said, well, if he's is that what he says? And so I did. I went and I spent 5 months just researching everything, going through, reading the Talmud and doing all And then eventually, it was a Wednesday night, and I was sitting at the church, and I've never. I know everybody has stories about how God talks. Well, if this, then this, and I was like, well, I guess it is, but I was still kind of on the edge, and then I heard an audible, hey, that's what it's called, faith. Just do it.
Amen.
And then I was like, what? And then I was like, okay. So I had pull my buddy Matt, who was the pastor over there, and said, hey, I want to give my life to Christ.
Praise God.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
To this day.
To this day.
And no vodka with Pastor Matt.
No vodka, but
That's amazing. Praise God. And then let's see. When did you start becoming a comedian or doing comedy?
I actually started around the same time. Around the same time I got
Florida.
saved. I started doing comedy a few months before I got saved, so probably around, I don't know, every open micer does at the very beginning of
Right.
how, of material and stuff. But very quickly, I knew that wasn't for me, and especially once I got saved, I knew that God had a bigger plan for me. So
Amen. Amen. Well, that's awesome. So we'll talk about your road to comedy. And when did you join Christian comedy? Bringing up the Christian Comedy Association because in the news now everybody hears about comedian John Crist and what happened. And I know Charisma Magazine did a big article on everything that goes on, and you can't believe everything that goes on, but at the same encourage him to stay with the Lord after what happened, to draw closer, stay close with Jesus. But you know, you have to, as Christians, especially as comedians, this hits home for us.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, as a father of two daughters, I was mad at him. You don't do that to girls. I mean, regardless and who travels on the road, it's not easy being a comedian,
Mm-mm.
traveling.
No, it's not.
Especially he's single.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I traveled as single and I traveled as a married person. But there always have to be an accountability people around you.
Mm-hmm.
And started making it personally. And I'm not saying, oh, I'm doing this because I'm great. But no, when 12 years ago, when Shonda Pierce, myself, Robert G. Lee, and other comedians, Tim Hawkins, and John Brennan, and some other comedians, we all got together. Around you,
Mm-hmm.
you're in the green room, but then you go out to dinner, and you're with other, and then you go stay in the they have the, what do you call it,
Comedy
the
condos.
condo,
Yeah.
and there's other comics with you.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always people there. When you're a comedian, a Christian comedian, you're on your Williams and Justin Fennell and all that, and we said, okay, one another, and we had communion together, and our ideas, like, and also to help the younger up and coming comics, but at the same time to sharpen our skills and to help one another to
Mm-hmm.
get better. And that really helped us a lot because you're on the road and you got a couple other comedians that's
Mm-hmm.
calling and checking on you. They say, and Tim Hawkins came and just poured out his heart, crying, and just he said, "I need help. I need prayer. I need accountability. I need people to be around." Even there was nothing, no sin there or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guy is solid, very funny guy. But that's there. John Christ came in once to the CCA and haven't seen him since.
Mm-hmm.
And a comedian, if you're an artist, a Christian artist out there, and you travel and you're on the road and you need accountability. You need to have people around you, godly men and women that come around you and help you out. As far as for our what do you call it? For my Laughter for All events, when we do this event, well, I am married, so what I have. So that's this is my. I went to my Facebook to see if anybody is asking questions or one thing. But what happened is I started, like, when social media started and technology started. I would open my computer on Hey, John, listen to your mother. Go listen. It's like, Dad, where are you? I go, I'm in Germany, but listen to your mother, or I'm in here.
I can't imagine like how like trying to spank them over Skype though.
It,
Like
it's
just
you just push Alt
yeah.
spank, Alt spank, Alt spank. Dad, stop! That hurts. No, I'm just kidding. But this is what we do. See, my cousin Mario is watching from Germany.
Long story.
It's a long story. But what I'm saying is, you gotta keep yourself accountable to somebody. And that will prevent you because humans are humans. Sin is sin. Our nature, we as human, we are, easily, we can easily get tempted and fall.
Hmm.
So that's why it is very important. You need that. And I mean, I'm praying for John Christ. I met him a couple times. I'm praying for him. But what I also want to talk to is pastors of mega churches who really, and I'm not talking about John Christ, but other, they always put these people up on their pulpits without praying, without
Hmm.
checking out, like, where is this guy? Because I
Yeah.
of building a career,
Yeah.
of building a ministry.
Well, especially in Christianity,
Yeah,
in our world, once you lose the trust
it's
of
over.
the audience, it takes a long time to get that trust back.
I hope you can. Nowadays, it's
Yeah.
hard, and it's hard. So what I'm saying is, I'm saying all this to let people who are listening, who are interested, their immediate friends. You know what? Find a way to stay accountable.
Hmm.
Find a way. Find people who care enough about you that will check on you and make sure everything is going on. Be in the Word every day because that's in the Word of God because that's really keeps you from temptation. So I wanted to say that. So first time you came to the CCA,
My first year, I think it was 2014, maybe 2015. You did a breakout session on how to be more bookable and on like and doing a process of how to book things.
hmm
And that was the big. It's always the first weekend of June, right? And
right.
I had just stepped in. I was doing comedy part time, and there was some of the things in my life, um, and I wrote down everything you said. I went home and I just did. I said, well, I'm gonna try. I went step one, two, three, four. I just went down the list, and by the end of July, a month and a half later, I was full time booked as a comic.
So it worked.
Yeah,
Good. I hope
that's
other comedians will listen to you.
but so that's one of the things that one of the things that CCA has given me is people like you that pour into your life, and nobody else. I don't know any other organization out there has guys that have been doing it for what 30 years.
There you.
Yeah, some people in the CCA have been doing it for 40 or 50 years. Nobody else has that where guys will come in and freely give you information on how to improve your comedy and how to you'll do the same for somebody else.
Right, and that's the goal. It's we keep helping one another, and that's why I wanted to bring that up. But back to being a veteran.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, no, no. I'm the one who took geared you out of it. But how being? Do you feel appreciated?
about it, but it's not going anywhere. You know, you're like, I have a good idea, but it's not. There's no.
Throw it at me. I
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
help you out.
Well, because
Yeah.
so here's my thing. It's like I personally think that the only people that should be. I mean, we all right. Except for Veterans Day, I'll take a free Applebee's steak any day. All right, but normally when somebody thanks you for your service, you go, fine, whatever. You know.
I told you I'm preparing something for the military, and there's an old joke that we always use. I mean, we don't use it, but it's funny. It's like this chicken and pig are walking across, and they see a Denny's sign that says ham and cheese, and they were like so proud. You know, the chicken said,
Oh yeah.
he had to die to be able to provide the ham. So the thing goes like the reason normal people, because people who are patriotic and love this country, they're contributors. We contribute.
Mm-hmm.
We help. I go do events for them. I appreciate them. We do. Hey, we appreciate it. We do the thing. In a war zone where
Mm-hmm.
you got shot, you got shrapnel in here. Mentally, it affects you. You've seen young men who did total commitments and they got killed,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the difference.
And,
That's the
and so,
appreciation.
and I hate to interrupt. So for me, those are the people that I want to think. Like that's who I think about when I think about.
When you made the decision, it was a total commitment for you. You
Mm,
know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go, but if they're gonna kill me, I'm gonna leave. No, you went there with the fact, with the knowledge that yeah,
yeah.
you might die there.
Yeah, but I think so. Just for me, with the only people that I personally think for service are active duty military,
Mm.
police, firefighters, and Taco Bell workers, and
Taco Bell
that's
workers
it.
are. I mean,
Thank you for your service.
Taco Bell.
1 a.m. on a Saturday.
That family pack
Yeah.
has done more damage for my health, for my family, for not for the budget because it's really a good deal. But there was thank you. How did we get into tacos? I
I
was
know.
thank. We like the show, not just
Mhm.
today, every day of the year. Whenever I see a soldier, because now you can get on the plane before me, even though I have
Mm.
all this elite flying.
Oh, and see, so the thing is that I don't do well. I don't take advantage of those things because I feel that
You should. I
I don't
try. I'm not even in. It's funny for me because so that's my thing. Uh, so how is life now? You're full-time comedian
full time comic
in LA.
in LA. I moved here almost 2 years ago now,
Hmm.
and
Why did you move here?
well, I'm gonna give you just I know you don't believe this. You may not believe this, but Des Moines, Iowa, is not the hub of entertainment you think it is.
It's not.
I know.
Seen
In Des
in Des
Moines.
Moines. Period. No, I mean, I'm sorry. No, no, Des Moines is Des Moines. You know what I mean? But also, it wasn't the hub of
Yeah,
entertainment,
yeah.
and
So
you
if
could not be discovered in Des
you can't be,
Moines.
I did as much as I could
You can
possibly
be
do in Des
discovered
Moines.
dead under
Yeah,
15
yeah,
foot.
discovered. Dot 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 under
And
under snow.
you should use that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
funny. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really it. You know,
But weren't you in Gainesville, Florida when you?
So I started in Gainesville, Florida,
Uh-huh.
and then that's where I started. And then I wanted to move back and be closer to family. So I moved. Talked to other comics. I'm not sure. Have you? How long have you lived in Los Angeles?
Me, 35 years
Oh,
now
okay, so you
in
didn't.
California.
All right. So I know other comics where you come from either a smaller city or and you have the idea, you have the option of, do I want to move to New York or L.A., or do I want to move to a slightly larger city that has a bigger comedy scene? And you know that you're running out of a lot of the time. So the idea is like, all right, you go to L.A. And then my idea for coming to LA was, I want to come get some things on my resume so I can move up to the headliner spot and make the next 20 years of my career a little bit easier.
Now, you just did this big comedy channel thing, Dry Bar.
I did.
1,000 and one is about 70,000. But it did. And then last week I had comedian Jeff Allen on the show,
Oh
and
yeah.
he just boom in the millions. But so it did. It's helping. So tell me about that, about Dry Bar. Your
Yeah.
experience.
It's what an opportunity for clean comics or clean Christian.
From Dry Bar, just
Yeah.
people want.
I
Actually, today a guy, just I'm sure from Dry Bar, he goes, I want to book you for my daughter's wedding. And I don't like to do weddings anymore. I've done them, I still do them, but it has to be a perfect. So, and he goes, how much do you want? And his English is completely damaged.
hmm
So I gave him a number, and he goes, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We can do that. And I also, on his broken English, he said, but I want you to take care of the wedding planner. So why don't you charge my credit card for another amount, $5,000, $6,000,
hmm
and you pay that wedding planner fraud
Yeah.
before he even told me. Yeah, and she goes, and she's so smart, Maha. She goes, you know what? She goes, why don't you call the wedding place that he's giving you the address for?
hmm
And she called them. She goes, are you having a wedding on this day for this? They go, nope, we're not. So I knew.
Oh,
And then he confirms it, and he sent me this like, oh, I will pay you whatever you want, but you can go pay cash for the thing. And I'm
yeah.
automatic real, and I'll say I have to pay 1,000 for the visa,
hmm
and I paid 1,000 for the visa in England,
Yeah.
and I didn't know it was in the government. So
Yeah.
I called.
Well, 'cause some of them are they're good. That's how they make their money by stealing.
But what happened? I have a couple friends who are CIA and FBI agents. They took care of it from there. I didn't get my money back, but I mean,
But
but they
mhm.
do that. That's one of the
Edited right now. It should be finished soon, and then I'm not sure. It's going to come out at the end of December or early January, from what I understand. Um, and I want people to watch it. Just watch it, share it. You see those clips, send them out. That's because for us the biggest thing isn't it's the fan base or the exposure that we get from that is huge. Because I can name 4 or 5 comics that have got dry bar and from things going viral. So
Right.
for us, that's the biggest thing is
Right.
trying to get that out there. I've already same thing. I already booked a show from my dry bar. A lady was in the audience, and then she booked me for a corporate for in January, and
That's awesome. That's
yeah.
awesome. And I always, you have to remember, whatever, there's no one event, one or daughter
Mhm.
who wants to join the military.
Uh,
As a veteran, what do you say to her?
I think so. I personally I love the military, and I think that it's a great thing for kids to do. It's gonna make them grow up a lot quicker than their peers will. Uh, Especially if they in nowadays they can go in, especially if they can go into any military service, and by the time they get out, farther along in life.
Right.
And not only that, but they'll be that much more mature. They'll be that much better with normal things of how to how to deal with life. They'll have a lot more experience, and they'll come out as usually as a better person. Some not always, but I the big thing with when you have a kid that wants to go in the military is figuring out what kids will go in and they want to do this, they want to do that because it's cool, but really what they're not setting themselves up for success in the future because they're not picking the right job for them, one, or they're not picking a job that's going to give them any kind of skills so that in 3 or 4 years when they get out they have any kind of marketable thing to go get a job
Right.
afterwards.
That's awesome. And
I tell you, when I was so this is in Florida, right? Because
yeah,
it's
Gainesville.
in Gainesville, Florida. I got saved, and then I want to get baptized, and so in the church they had just it was just a big horse trough of water. They just kind of dumped all the stuff in there, and it's Florida, so the AC's on all the time. So they go. And they're like, he's got the tongues. And
He's
I'm like,
speaking in tongues.
and I was like, it's hypothermia. Oh.
That's funny. Did you stay in touch with your mother when you were in Iraq?
Oh, of course, yeah.
And how did she feel when you were gone?
I'm sure she was worried. She'll tell you that. I mean, she might be on there
Is
already.
she on the phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have.
Hawaii. Um, uh, she lives by the beach, and she must hate it there. She just must.
I think if you're in Hawaii, you live by the beach. It doesn't matter where in Hawaii.
You're not far from the beach. You're
yeah.
not too far. Yeah. Well, yeah. I try, and I made sure. I've always made a point to call my family. Every week at least.
And you can. They give you. You get the opportunity.
So yeah, so back when I was there, we didn't have the cell phones that everybody has now. We didn't have all that stuff. It was a certain number in the United States, and then you can use that number to call somewhere else, and then you can use that number to call somewhere else, and then you don't get charged the international rates.
Oh,
And so it was like this whole
really?
yeah.
They don't. Doesn't the military have like one content? No.
Oh no, it's I'm not going to get political, but a lot of people make a lot of money off of war,
Ah.
and a lot.
But still, it's the greatest military. And
Absolutely.
so, as First of all, I want to say thank you for your service to our country, the USA. And again,
Oh,
I
thank
say
you.
when people, I say, when, like, I remember during the Iraqi war, I wore a shirt that said support our troops, and people go, which troops did you have in mind again? So thank you for what you do. I know maybe it doesn't mean a lot to you, but it means a lot to us
It
because
really does. It really does
it's
mean
a
a lot to me.
commitment. Side.
So you can go my Facebook. Everything I have is at Josh Novey, JoshNovey. Facebook, Instagram. You can go to at joshnovey.com. That's my website, and you can book me through there. And also, I plug my new podcast coming out?
Please.
Okay, so I have a new podcast coming out, and brand new. We're just announcing it right now. This is the first.
That's good. Thank you.
First public announcement.
Thank you. No, I'm just kidding.
It's called Off the Crust, a podcast.
To be on your show.
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna.
Depending what kind, a banana cream pie is
It's
what I.
that's the thing is that you get to choose whatever pie you want, and I bring the pie.
You bring the pie.
I bring whatever pie you want.
See, I'm sorry I didn't offer you anything here, but just water. But in closing, I want to thank you so much for being with us, and I want to thank the listeners. I know after I like watching when I, even though I'm closing right now, don't hang up, don't shut it off. Keep watching. We have 4 minutes of Josh Novey, very funny guy. But I'll tell you what, if you, I see some new people. I see my cousin who I haven't seen since my wedding day is watching. Wafa, and then my wife and family and everybody, Mario from Germany, and your mom from Hawaii, and others, and Matthew. Keep me in prayer. In 2 weeks, I'm going to be with our military in Georgia, Columbus, Georgia, and also just thank you, Laughter for All. We are planning next year's events, large events all over the state of California. To keep that in prayer, that God would lead us to find the right places to do our large events. And we had great success this year, and we're hoping for the same thing. We're stuff for you guys. It's comedian Nazareth on Facebook, on Instagram, and if you're on Twitter, it's Nazman, Nazzman, and my website Nazareth USA. You can follow. Yeah, just follow, just like, and just subscribe to the podcast. And thank you so much. I want you to know laughter is good for you. It's excellent actually for you. It makes your facial muscle